1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Moro moro and welcome back to Culinary Roleplaying. My name is Walther and I'm really glad you found this channel. This video is dedicated to all my subscribers and all my future subscribers as well, as a thank you and an introduction into me. How I came to be. Well, let's not go into too much detail on that one, but you know what was my life before I descended upon your screens. And I also really want to talk about the channel and what you can expect in the future. And then I want to make a short Q&A session where I will answer some questions that you were polite enough to ask me. Let's start with me. So my name is Walther from Culinary Gaming, but my real name is Waltteri Haapaniemi, which is the Finnish name. I used Walther quite a lot when I was in UK studying, so Walther is a name that I have become comfortable with. And it's also, for most people, it's more easier to pronounce, so there you go. I come from a small town named Kajaani in middle of Finland, a place with around 30,000 people, or even 40,000 people nowadays. But yeah, quite small town. I have been quite active child in my childhood. I have been playing football or soccer. I have been dancing, I have been singing, doing karate, yeah, a lot of stuff. I went like from a hobby to hobby basically every day of the week. And I was fortunate enough to be in a position that was possible for me. And I'm really thankful for all that busy work that I was able to do in my childhood. But self-expression has always been really important to me. For the longest time I felt like I'm not really patient enough to do like writing, or I felt like I'm not really that good with words. But I was always very active with my movements, so that's why I kind of got into contemporary dance from very young age. I was like 5 when I first started dancing. With my dancing background and with the combination of being on different bands and different choirs and having some basic music education as well, that combination led me to theater world, and to be more precise, a lot of musicals. I have been professionally performing, like freelance working on different city theaters through Finland for the last 10 years. I started out when I was 18, and yeah, kind of almost every year without exception have been in some kind of theater project, even when I was in school at the same time. So I have graduated as a dance teacher from Finland, and for the past year I have been studying in UK, and I graduated as an actor there. I'm like 6 months ago, yeah. So yeah, lots of performing stuff and being able to express myself and being in this kind of field of expression, improvisation has always been my thing, my environment, my work, my hobbies, everything. But also, I think that's only half of the truth. The other big half of my truth is that I've been a nerd for the longest time. I started playing video games like I was 4 or 5. So yeah, it started with video games first, and there wasn't like a lot of hobby stuff. I tried out miniature war games, but it required a lot of money and a lot of people who also play miniature war games, so that wasn't happening. Then we played quite a lot of Magic the Gathering with my friends when I was in high school. And then I discovered this thing called tabletop role-playing games. And for me it was like mind-blowing and highly interesting that okay, it's like playing an RPG but in real life, and you can basically do whatever you want. Like, that was crazy. So yeah, I was basically like calling a bunch of my friends together and we're like, okay, we want to really invest in this. We don't want to like play few hours and then stop. So let's make a commitment. And we rented out a cottage for a week and we played 10 hours for 6 days straight, and I was the game master. So that was my introduction to GMing a tabletop role-playing game. To first like make content for 6 days and to play 10 hours per day. So yeah, we went quite into the deep end from the beginning. And that became kind of our tradition that is still going on to this day. We are still every year, every summer, taking 1 week and trying to figure out our schedules that we can play TTRPGs together as a group. Nowadays we have been rotating the GM seat a little bit, but I still feel like I identify as a GM in our group most of the time. But I have also always enjoyed making videos. I wanted to start out making videos when I was 13, but I really never did have the courage or the time to do that. But I was doing a lot of videos in my school. I was doing a lot of videos at home. Like, I was doing videos all of the time. And I also started Culinary Roleplaying as a culinary gaming at first. It was a gaming channel before it became a role-playing game channel. Role-play gaming channel, that's not right. But from the start, I wanted to do role-playing stuff, but I felt like I did not have the courage to do so. I have been always good in English, in that sense that a lot of media in Finland is basically subtitled. We have gained a lot of practice hearing English and also writing and reading English. But what we haven't had a lot of experience in is speaking English. And this is something that you realize when you are speaking with multiple languages. How your brain works with hearing, comprehending, reading, writing and speaking. They are like different things and they all need individual practice. It's not like, okay, I learned how to read English and now I can do everything in English. And my point being, I wasn't really like confident enough to speak in English. And of course I did the comparisons, like if I would want to do this kind of RPG content, I would try to match myself into more native speaking, high quality channels. And I most of the time felt like, is there anything for me to offer? Me trying to desperately ramble something in English that is not my native language, and I'm not that kind of well-versed, well-spoken native actor who can create these luscious sentences to immerse people inside the adventure. But luckily, after studying in UK, I felt like I was confident enough. Yes, I should take the plunge and actually start to do this. Because my greatest aspiration is to make great content and talk about role-playing games every day. Or every week at least. Because for me, tabletop RPGs, they are the ultimate combination of everything I enjoy. It is basically a platform where I can interact with different kinds of rules, mechanics, and play a game, which I love to play games. It is also a platform of self-expression. It highly combines ideas of role-play, so acting and doing this kind of stuff as well. It is about creating interesting narratives, and I have always enjoyed creating stories with myself or with my friends. And I love all of the aspects in role-playing games. I love that I can just play different games, but I also love to create rules, because I feel like creating rules to TTRPGs is like having a dialogue with the reader. But instead of like writing a book where it's this closed narrative story that other people can try to empathize with and try to imagine it, tabletop RPGs is basically like a guide on how to get inside my world. And it gives the reader the tools to go into that adventure. And the tools are there to support the reader's imagination rather than giving something ready. And that is something I always were interested in and felt like I wasn't creative enough to be a writer or anything like that. But this was a language that I felt like I understand. So that's why my biggest aspiration now is to make this a full-time gig. And hopefully we can achieve that together. So what you can expect from my channel in the future. And right now, I am trying to make 2 videos per week. One like bigger video and then one smaller video. And with a varied amount of success, I have been able to do that. At least I have been able to release 1 video per week. And because I am a one-person show right now, which means I film the videos, I edit the videos, and I create all the content in the videos as well. Well, not all the role-playing games, but you know, all the other side stuff. So first I film the video, then I will make a first editing round where I will cut the video. And this is the part when I usually I really don't like the video because I feel like I mumble a lot and I'm using incorrect phrasings in English, and I'm like, I kind of like, I hate everything, and I just try to cut it. Then I have my second editing route when I actually adding the special effects, and then I'm actually putting all the texts in, and then I'm also finalizing and taking out all of the like phrasings that doesn't make any sense and take those out. And then I release the video for you guys. So what kind of videos can you expect me in the future? Well, you can of course expect me to do more How It Plays videos. That series has become a staple of the channel. I still have quite a lot of games in my backlog that I can still talk about. So definitely more How It Plays videos. And I want to keep doing my Heroes of the White Tower demo play tutorial. I have now filmed the second part, but the computer side of things, because I'm using camera to record myself and then I have screen capture. The screen capture part was completely corrupted, so I don't have any of the footage from that. So now I'm trying to figure out if I want to do like this kind of extra amount of edit, or will I just completely refilm the first session. So it's gonna be a little bit late, but you will have it at some point, I promise you, probably next week. And of course I would love to do more just like let's play videos of different systems, but most of the time the let's play videos are something that are not that well received, or maybe the first 2 or 3 videos are, but then basically the viewership tanks completely. And I'm not going to make this a channel that I will always chase views. I'm also trying to look at this as a job point of view and not only as a hobby. If this would be my hobby, then I would make any video I would want whenever I want. But now when I'm trying to build a legit channel, I also have to look at the statistics a little bit. But I would love to continue, and I will continue at some points, NPC adventures, our OSR playthrough. It's one of my favorite series in the channel, but the latest part really didn't have that many viewers, so it's unfortunately quite low on the priority list right now. But it's still there. I'm definitely gonna make next part at some point. Then I also have Kill the Overlord Pathfinder 2 playthrough that I had that like the pilot episode, and I didn't continue it just yet because I was in the process of changing my camera and stuff in the first episode, so the quality of the first part is quite low, and also I felt like the mechanics I was using, I wasn't fully comfortable with them. I really felt like it wasn't a stable way to create that adventure, so I'm probably going to reboot that series at some point when I find a proper way to do it. Because I want it to feel like it's something you guys can be like, oh, I can try this too. And that is basically the slogan of my channel. I want to be the pedestrian solo TTRPG channel, meaning that I want to create narratives, I want to create videos and games that will encourage you, the viewer, to feel like, yeah, I can do this too. I can make this kind of similar adventure as well. So I'm trying to avoid the Mercer effect in a sense, which happens quite naturally for me because I'm not that charismatic Hollywood actor that can make like this very witty and quick comebacks and have this high budget kind of feel. I want to feel approachable, and I want that every video is a legit one example on how it's possible to do solo play, and feel like after my video you have watched me play any game, you feel like, oh, I can do that too. And that is basically the aim of my channel. And then there is so many games I would want to play in this channel. I would want to try Forbidden Lands solo. I would want to try Twilight 2000 solo. I would love to do a 1000-year-old vampire let's play. I have like this amazing idea for it. And then I would also love to play more just like solo games. I would want to introduce to you guys some simple indie solo games that are not just TTRPGs. Leave comments down below or send me a message on my way on what kind of shows you would want to see next. And next, let's go to the Q&A session. Thank you for all the people who have sent comments on my way. And I wasn't sure if you wanted to be mentioned or not. I wasn't specifying that on the comments, so now I will just answer to all the comments anonymously. And the first question was, when I'm not making videos, do I prefer to play solo pen and paper or with computer? The political answer would be, it depends on the game. Because I think some games really benefit from the added help from the digital side, and some games that are like a little bit lighter, I feel like it's much more nicer to have just the dice and just the notebook and maybe the game rules and just have a play few rounds without any screen on your face, because I'm staring screens quite a lot in my everyday life. But blade on my neck, if I would have to answer, I prefer to play digitally just because I can also play almost all of the things. I can play analogically, I can also play digitally, and I can also play things digitally that I can't play analogically. So that's why I would say digitally. Next question was, do I prefer crunchy or narrative RPGs? I'm first nerding out here and saying that I also know a lot of narrative games that are quite crunchy. For example, Cortex Prime, I would say it's a really crunchy narrative game. So these are two different things that are on a different scale, because we have crunchy and rules light systems, and then I would say there is like narrative, simulationist, and like gamifying side of things. Like these are like different genres, and the amount of crunch is its own thing. But again, blade to my neck, don't think about it, answer which one you prefer, crunchy or narrative games. I have to say, I want to say narrative games, because I want to play games that are also good to play as a group or as a solo, and it's much more easier to pick up a narrative game and try to play that rather than trying to pick up a crunchy game that you would have to first learn the book. With narrative games you have the option that the game might also be lighter. So that's why I would say I prefer narrative games. And then I also got a question about Bob. When will we see more Bob's endeavors? It's been quite a while. Bob is the main character from NPC Adventures, and I will have to do episodes soon. It's been my favorite series to do, honestly. But you also, some of you asked that it has been like quite boring to watch, that I haven't like rolled that many skill checks. And I have explained that because it is an OSC game, there is not many checks to be made overall in those games. And for me, when I'm rolling the Oracle, that is also me playing the game and making like checks. So that's why I haven't personally felt like the need for the checks. But I do realize it might be a little bit more boring to watch when there's not like many mechanics to be seen. So I'm now still thinking what kind of rule modification or what kind of rule switch I could do to add a little bit more mechanics in the game. Especially where the series is now, it's gonna be quite make or break situation. Like Bob might lose his life in the first 5 minutes when I start rolling. So I really need to be carefully thinking about how it's gonna be fair but still interesting. Then we have a question, do you play with groups as well, or do you prefer playing solo? And what systems? Like I mentioned earlier in my video, I have this gaming group that we have been gathering together, my childhood friends, for the last 6 years at least. And we have been playing every year, twice a year. We are renting a week from our time and we are playing 10 hours straight. So we basically play all the hours in one go per year. And it's really interesting way to play role-playing games. And now I have had the absolute honor to be a bi-weekly game when we have now moved back into Helsinki with my spouse. So it has been really nice experience overall. In this bi-weekly game we are playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, which has been really interesting. I haven't been playing 5th edition for the longest time. I'm definitely not gonna GM it, so it's been quite fun to see the game from player's perspective again. And in my friend group, we started out with 5th edition D&D, but we have now moved away from it. Year before we played Mithras for the first time. It was quite interesting system, and this summer we are probably going to play with Warhammer 4th edition. And we also have the book that contains like the different war rules, because there's going to be in our homebrew fantasy world, there's going to be this big war, and we are going to use the war mechanics, so it's going to be very cool, very interesting. And then a few questions that you have asked me so many times. You usually ask, what kind of app do I use to like demonstrate all the games and stuff? I'm actually using just Chrome browser and an app called Miro, which is this interactive whiteboard where I can easily drag and drop different pictures, and you can also add text in there. And you can easily create tokens in there as well within the program itself. So it's really easy to take a browser, open Miro, and then I can have the PDFs and put them on different pages in the browser as well. So I can just like click, flip, and see the book, go back into the gaming board, see the book again, and I can open like multiple books. That has worked for me perfectly. Only downside is that you will need to have internet connection on all of the time, and you can't save locally, which is, I would prefer that you could save it locally and play it without internet, but overall, as a free option, it's been absolutely the best. Especially because I don't need a dice roller, because I will roll all the dice physically, of course, because that's the best way to do it. Fight me in the comments. And final question, what are my current favorite TTRPGs from sci-fi, from fantasy, and from horror themes? So sci-fi based TTRPG, my current favorite one. This is a doozy. I have been reading Black Oath's Across 1,000 Dead Worlds just recently, so that's like the only thing that is very fresh on my mind. But I haven't even played it yet, so I can't say that's my favorite one. I would love to cheat and say either Mini-6 or Savage Worlds, because those are two systems that I have mostly played sci-fi in with. And I don't want to say Alien RPG, because it's kind of also like horror theme, and it's also from Free League, and I'm gonna mention other Free League games. I would say Stars Without Number right now is my favorite sci-fi game. And it's only because it's so elaborative. I can also combine Cities Without Numbers with the system, and it has worked for me fantastically. My favorite fantasy RPG system is easy. It's Dragonbane. Dragonbane is something that it's really simple to learn, so I can just crack it open and play with any group I want in any situation. It also contains rules for solo. It's levelless and classless. It's like it's perfect middle ground to have different varied kinds of fantasy adventures. It doesn't do anything like specifically well, but it just works overall, and it's highly simple to like homebrew and customize in. All the things I really enjoy about role-playing games. So that's why, like, on a general note, I would say Dragonbane is right now my favorite fantasy TTRPG. And for horror, I have to say I'm between Delta Green and 10 Candles, and I have to say 10 Candles. 10 Candles is just so unique experience. You will need a group to play this one, but when you have the group that are committed, it is the best horror experience you can have. It just like the rules really focus on creating the atmosphere for the horror story, and it's about tragic, it's about loss, and it's about going into the game accepting your own demise. And there is like, so as a like drama student, as an improv student, there is so many things that just interest me in that game. Whew, those were all the questions. Thank you for those. If you have any additional questions for me, please leave them down in the comments below. I truly appreciate every one of you who have subscribed to my channel, who will subscribe to my channel after this video. Thank you. And let's have a goal. This is me officially putting a goal for myself, and that is we together as a community at end of the year are in a position that I can do this full time. That's the goal that we are trying to reach this year. I'm really excited about it. I will keep making videos, and hopefully I will see you in those videos as well. For those who are not noticed yet or decide to subscribe right now, I have also created this roguelike solo dungeon for free, and you can find the link to that from my posts. It's this system neutral pre-generated dungeon that has these simple room progression mechanics that will give you kind of like varied kind of adventure when you go through it, and you can create your own stats for different complications or use different checks, whatever system you might be using. So yeah, hopefully you like that one, and that's all for me today. Now it's moro moro, and I truly hope I see you next time.